welcome. One of the things that we haven't mentioned about Tim so far, who of course sitting on my left, Tim Streeter, is that he's the longest serving member of Bristol, just about to retire. But there are two other things, at least, that we must mention about him. First is that only a couple of months ago he had half a page devoted to him in the Stage newspaper, with a lovely photo of him sitting, I think, at his writing desk. Secondly, that he was the only person of Bristol Vic, rank and file, if I may call that, who was presented to Meghan and Harry when they came the other day. And now he's here with you. On that occasion, it transpired that Meghan and Harry knew more about Tim than Tim knew about himself.
So Heather, over to you.
Fab. So I always wanted to be an actor, but when I was around 16, I had really severe depression, and that lasted probably from 16 to 19, 20. So that kind of left me a bit incapacitated. Incapacitated? Yes. And I guess the camera became like a bit of a therapeutic tool, and I just started taking pictures, and I just got really good at it. And then people at university were like, maybe you should take this a bit more seriously. So I just started photographing myself mostly, and trying to figure out like why I was feeling really low or what was going in my mind. And then the work started to be more and more about me and around gender, race, sexuality. So that's kind of how that practice happened. And I tried to forget about acting, but I just loved it so much. So I'm trying to juggle the two. So a lot of my work's around photography and performance.
Talking of Hamlet, takes me on to another story, if I may.
Told you we would.
I thought you might. Because we've done Hamlet twice. The first time was done... that was the first time. That was the first time. And actually, at that time, it was very difficult to get publicity. And at the back of the theatre, in the BT yards that behind us here, at the back of the theatre, they were digging up the back of the yard there. And they actually dug up a body. So it was great. We were doing Hamlet. Yorick comes up. You know, literally, good publicity. So then 10 years later, when you were here, do you remember when we did Hamlet at the stage door and you were having a gas cooker put upstairs? Okay. They were digging up through the raquet. And I always remember going out to lunch and these builders were digging up this little trench. And you can still see the line of the trench along the raquet. And I remember going out for lunch, I stood there chatting to the foreman, and this chap literally went, he said, bloody hell, look at this. And on the end of his shovel was a human skull. And they carried on digging, and I think they found 4 bodies. Because at the back of the theatre here to the side, you got the old city wall behind the almshouses. And of course, when this was all marshes through the record office, we found that was where they had an unregistered graveyard. But we were doing Hamlet. So I've always jokingly said to Tom Morris, when are we going to do Hamlet again? Because one's going to come up from somewhere. They always say these things happen in threes.
figures. You know, I mean, I'm from Manchester, and when I go back there, I still go back to my barber. He's a Jamaican man, and he's now in his 70s, I think, and he's still cutting hair. And in London, though, I changed to another barber because it wasn't easy to commute back to get my hair cut. So I went to another barber, and this guy was called Ninja Man, and he was in northwest London, you know, and where I used to live. And Ninja would say, was something Anton brought up before because it made me smile. Ninja would cut like a third of your hair, and then he'd disappear. And I realised later on that he was going to the bookies. But also, if you got a third of your hair cut, you were not going anywhere. So he always had his newspaper folded up in the back of his pocket, and he was always studying. And then the 3:15 came, he had to run out and put his money on the 3:15 at Kempton Park, and then come back and you know. And this is all really important. And people used to come in and buy stuff from him. I don't know what it was.
So you have to imagine me as a 60-year-old woman, if that's okay. This is a song that comes very early on in the show, and which is one of the reasons I thought it'd be a good one to play, because there's no plot spoilers in it. Yeah.
So each song is not just a bit of fluff or candy floss, it isn't that kind of musical. Each song is a scene, it's part of the action, and it moves the story along.
Right, I'm just going to play it to you. When I was just a little girl, my mother said to me, work hard and baby, what you smile to, one day you'll be free. So without your dearest dream, work hard till you can taste it. The likes of us must wait, she said, and waiting's never wasted. There's a town in Arkansas, deep in the Mississippi Delta. We're driving 14 to get there, in the bright and hazy swelter. My baby stayed in drafting, through the wind blowing my hair. And all these years will fall away, when I at last get there. Miles and miles of open land, and scale beyond conjecture. No puppet eyes, no dead-end smiles, no brooding mist architecture. And every honky-tonk and bar will play the songs I love. No more late bus, so refund first, just a great blue sky above. And there's a town in Arkansas, deep in the Mississippi Delta. We drive through 14 to get there, in the bright and hazy swelter. My baby's safe and drafted, to feel the wind blowing my hair. And all these years will fall away, when I dance to death.
So we were clear that the work needed to be entertaining first, and I did about 20 credits in theatre studies at the University of Glasgow and got kicked off that course, more or less. Well, you know, just through failure. I was like, well, no one actually, but more or less, figuratively. And it was because I used to say in these academic essays, this work, the first problem with this play is that it isn't entertaining. So it falls at the first hurdle. And therefore, I will jump through the hoops of analysing the semiotics of this thing or the symbolism of that bit of set or blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, the audience were bored, so none of that counts for anything. Sorry. And they obviously, you know, the arrogance of a 20-year-old going, but I do really stand by that as a fundamental. For me, it has to be entertaining first. And it's weird how many contemporaries we have who would go, oh, the audience are a bit of an inconvenience, but really I just want to put my genius on stage, and you know, this moment's supposed to be really grueling and painful, and this bit's supposed to feel like it lasts an eternity, and I haven't got time for it. So I think anything I would ever want to make would have to be generous, accessible, and it's joy. And I believe you can have a political kick right through all of that, and one, it does not have to be at the expense of the other. No way.